No.
Why does society have such a fascination with cars? Good question.
To me, what makes a classic car is simply an old car that you love.
When I was 5 years old, I can remember it like I'm sitting here today. A friend of my family pulled up to the house with a car just like this, exact same color, same make, and I remember standing thinking that was the coolest car ever, and that I would someday have one.
They don't make cars like they did back when these cars were made. I mean, these cars are hand-built from scratch. You take a flat piece of metal and really form a piece of art.
It will last beyond you, and therefore, while you own it, you're a keeper of it. You're the custodian of it.
Have you seen this car? Like, how do you not love that? It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's orange. They're beautiful lines, and it starts and the world rumbles and trembles, and you just feel it, and you turn the car and everything just goes.
One way Americans showed their personality and status was in the cars they drove. The newer the car, the better. This was the beginning of America's car culture.
It seems that everything that happened in the car culture had its beginnings in California. They were early into hot rods and custom cars. They were early into racing cars and building your own car and redesigning your own car. They were our speed culture.
It seems that the West Coast, the car culture was more ingrained. More of them grew up building cars, working on cars, desiring cars. It was much less about transportation and much more about the cult of cars.
But they have this one underlying theme that brings them together. It's commonality, and it's nice for us to seek sort of commonality these days. There's too much division going on. I mean, you just see it all around. So wherever you can find something that brings people together on something, then you can appreciate your differences in other ways, but you have a common bond, then you can communicate with people.
People have found each other that are enthusiastic about their cars. They found multiple ways of expressing that, whether it's a concours or a race or just a gathering in the street, and whatever they do, however they do it.
Car rallies are numerous in type, and there's almost every country and many states and cities have car rallies. The rallies that I go on now are all social. It's simply a group of people, 30 to 80 cars, that go out. They have a route book that tells them where to drive, and you meet up at famous sites for lunches, for dinners, and people talk about their cars. The Colorado Grand, you have to be 1960 or older to be eligible. So if you have 90 cars that are 1960 and older, you can imagine that collection. Many times we'll drive into a small little town for lunch, and the townspeople come out and they make lunch for us. The kids are let out of school. It's really a traveling museum.
What makes a car classic is in the eyes of the beholder, really. I was born in '41, so the cars of the 40s and 50s and 60s are where I really focus. So I'd say cars of that generation are meaningful to me, and I would call those classic cars or vintage cars.
I think society has a fascination with cars because they are tactile art.
This is a 1962 Chevrolet Corvette, and there was a time when these were actually like built and designed by artists.
I think that as a human being, you can see, you can tell, you can feel what it's like to be around something that took a lot of human energy to build.
If you look at cars from, say, like the 30s to probably the 60s, you can just tell that it was very passionate, the people who were designing it.
You can look at it and see, you either like it or you don't, you have a reaction to it. You can touch it You can play with your car, you work on it with your hands or you polish it or whatever. When you're driving, you feel it.
When you go into a huge old building in Rome, you feel that. There's a lot of that human energy in material things. I mean, it sounds crazy, but I believe it. A 1967 Jaguar didn't take as many man hours to build. They didn't curse as much when they put the door on and off a million times like they did on the Ferrari. And I think some of that spirit is in the car, and I know a lot of people who have driven Ferraris that they're, oh my gosh, I am on a live horse.
When you're sitting in the cockpit, right between, you know, the engine and the sound blaring out the back, there's a vibration going through the car that it just gets through every part of your body, and it's such a beautiful sound, and yet it's kind of ferocious at the same time.
It gives you that rush, that movement. I guess you probably can't taste your car. I guess you could lick your car. But every other sense is involved in cars. And I think people pick up on that innately, and that's what draws them to it.
Why a car is considered a classic and why another car is not considered a classic comes down to desirability by people when a car becomes old. If you buy a new car now and 5 years later, 6 years later, it's just an old car and there's not a lot of, you know, love for it anymore. Whereas when you have a car that 30 years, 40 years, 50 years later, it still has a following, a passion towards it, that becomes a classic.
Hi, I'm Lynn Park and I play with Cobras. I have been a Cobra fanatic since 1962 when I saw the first one on the cover of Road and Track magazine. I just started drag racing and just had a ball. Went in and out of the Army, got out of the Army in 1970 and said, okay, now I've got to find a real Cobra. Found a wrecked one, put it together, fixed it up, sold it, bought a couple more that were wrecked, and off I went. Just have never looked back. But Cobras have always been my one focus. I have never wandered off into Ferrari world or Porsche world or any of those. I just love the Cobras.